right, so far we have created we started off with a local repository. We did a couple commits, and then we saw those commits and we were perfectly happy, but then we decided that we were going to create a central repository. We were going to use GitHub as our central repository. And so we then pushed all of our commits and all of our project repo up to GitHub. So this is kind of like our master repo. And so now what I want to do is simulate that maybe you went from home to school perhaps, and you wanted to work on your project at school or wherever else you might be. Your travels might find you. And so I'm going to simulate being at school. And so what I'm going to do to simulate this, and it's not to be confusing, hopefully it's not going to be confusing, I'm going to cd ... to move up a directory and then up another directory. And I'm going to change directories into my documents folder. And then in my documents folder, I'm going to make a directory called school. So that way I kind of change into school. My idea here is what I'm thinking is, here we are at school and I want to work on that project that I started at home and I pushed up to GitHub. So I want to have that project here at school too, so I can sync my files back and forth between home and school. And so here I'm putting it on another folder, but not, that doesn't really make sense on my local computer. I'm just doing it to try and simulate going to school. Hopefully that makes sense. So my idea here is I'm sitting at school and I want to work on that project that I created at home, and I pushed up to my GitHub account. And I want to show you how that all works. This would be the same thing if I were collaborating with another team member and I needed to get the most current version down to my computer. So we'll do that in another video, like actual collaboration. But for the moment, let's just take this scenario. And so I'm back here at my repository that I created in the prior video. And I want to draw your attention to this little button that says clone or download. I want to make sure that we're real clear on the difference between clone and download. I can download this repository. I can download this file, this project, into my local directory. And that's all fine. I'm going to get a zip file of the most current version of this project. So I won't get all of the commits. I won't get all of the cool history that goes along with it. All I will get is a zipped version of these 3 files, which is not really what I wanted to do. If I were maybe your teacher, which I am, and I were grading your project, then I might download the files because I'm not interested or able actually to upload and change any of your files because you don't give me permissions to do that. I don't have the login for that. So we're not going to download in this case. What I really want to get clear to you is that we need to use this clone. And if you're not, I don't really know why this had this button for clone, but to clone, we're going to pull out the URL of our project. And the URL is no different than the URL that's up here in our browser window. So this is the location in GitHub for my public project. And so what I can do then is I'm going to go into I'm now at school, right, on my school computer, and I want to clone that repository so that I still have all of that history and all of that Git data that comes with this repo in my school folder. And so what we do is we type the word Git, again, a Git command, clone, and then I didn't copy that, so I need to copy that URL. And so if I copy that URL, now I should have that, let's just see what happens. So cloning, okay, it says it did it. So now if I do a dir, directory listing of this current folder, in fact, there is a folder that exists here which happens to match the same repo name as my GitHub repo. Sweet. All right, so I'm going to cd into that folder, example git, hit my tab key, and then do a dir. And there, in fact, are the files that are associated with that repo. Now remember that I can also do git /a, and because it's not git, why am I doing that? So it is dir/a, and so I can also see that I'm getting that git folder that's coming down, which is keeping track of all of these versions and all of these things that are happening in my Git repository. And so if I had just done the download, I would have gotten a zip folder with just these files, but I wouldn't have gotten that Git. So gotten the Git. And so I wouldn't have that history. I would have broken the chain of this saves and this historical data that I've been tracking using Git. So it's important that you see the difference between clone and download. Now that I've cloned, I can also, I'm going to do a git remote -v just to show you that by cloning, I have also maintained the connection between this school local repository and GitHub. So there's a three-way link going on, right? There is a link from my school repository to GitHub, and also between GitHub and my home local repository, my simulated. So now that I have that connection, I can work on these files. So I'm going to do a code. I'm going to go into Visual Studio Code. And let's see. So I have those files. Let's add a new file. I'm going to do an about.html. Now remember, this is at school. Oops, it didn't save for some reason. Okay. There we go. Now I've got two. Yep. Okay. And then I'm going to do I did two of them. I know, I did it on accident. You just weren't fast enough. Okay, HTML5, and then I'm going to do something like H1 about me, and then maybe I'll change a style. I'll add a color red. That would look pretty. It looks like Christmas. Okay, so now that I've made some changes to my school folder, and let's go back into, so now I'm in my school repository, right? And I'm going to do a Git Status. Okay, so recognize I have some untracked files. We talked about that earlier. So I've made some changes to my school repository. My GitHub account still is the older version, as is my home repository, correct? So we're going to do just like we always have. We're going to do a git add. We're going to stage all of these files. And then I'm going to do a git commit /m. I got to create a message, and I added an about.html page. About me page. Okay, and so that should be good. All right, so I've done my commit, and now it's time to push those changes up to GitHub. So just like we've done before, I'm going to do a push origin master. So push whatever changes that I've made that Git has noticed, just the changes. So it's not going to push the whole file. It's just going to, or the whole project. It's just going to push the changes. And then I hit, oh, I forgot the word git. Got to add the word git push. I did that on purpose. Did you notice? I didn't do it on purpose, but I just said I did. Okay, so now push those changes. Good. Okay. Yep, looks good. So now I'm going to come back into my repository, my GitHub repository, and I'm going to hit my refresh key. And I have now 3 commits. And you can see of my third commit that I have that about page. So that's looking good. I can click on the commits just to see what's going on here. I spelled added wrong on my message, but that's okay. So now we have 3 commits, and I can see how that all is transpired. So now this is the master copy, if you will. But my home version doesn't have that copy, right? So now I finished at school, and I come home, and I need to finish my homework. So I need to pull that project back down and make some more changes. So let me do a CD. So this is me simulating going home. CD, I'm driving home. And now I got home, I opened up my computer, and I need to open up my desktop. And I think it was called example. And now I got a dir. And I don't have the about me. So let's see, here's my Visual Studio Code. I think I have that somewhere. No, let me just open it. So we're going to do code and recognize that this version of Visual Studio Code, this is my home version. So I don't have the README or the About Me page yet. I need to add that. So let's just come into our command prompt. And now I should be able to git pull from the origin. I should just be able to do git pull, actually, because I have already made that link. So I'm going to try just git pull instead of git pull origin master. And did you see the page change right here? And so it did the changes. It pulled the data. And you can see that now I have my about page in my home local computer. as well as the change to my style sheet. Is that there too? Sure enough. See, it changed real quick there. So this is how we keep track of different stages of our software utilizing Git. And we've seen the whole process now of working by ourselves, maintaining version control, and using GitHub as our central repository so that we can move from computer to computer and yet still be able to merge all of our project that Git is keeping track of for us. All right, get practicing.